Welcome to Massive Late Fee, and now your hosts, Mark and Carol. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me, as always, is my girlfriend, Carol. How you doing, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
This is February 5th, 1994, and just a little bit of news today. I bought a new CD player. It's a CD player tape combo, and I bought a new CD, just came out, by a band called Green Day. Had never really heard of them before, but a lot of people have bought this CD.
Ducky.
Yeah, and it's great. I really enjoy it. I've been listening to it pretty much nonstop.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, Carol bought it too, and we've just been listening to it, and it's funny. It's a little reminiscent of 80s punk rock,
A little bit.
but it has that 90s kind of feel to it as well. So I think, I don't know, I love it. And if they can keep producing albums like this, I think they'll be around for a while. What's your favorite song from the album?
She.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
How about you?
Well, obviously, When I Come Around is the big one that you hear on the radio all the time. But I really like Welcome to Paradise.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, that one always kind of gets me going. So, yeah, Dookie by Green Day, that's the big thing. I tell you, this is the first CD that I've ever bought, but I will probably buy some more CDs in the future, I would imagine, now that I've got the new CD player.
Yeah.
I've still got the tape deck, so I can use the tape deck, but I don't know, maybe cassette tapes are on their way out.
Well, yeah, because CDs are so much better in the fact that you don't have to keep rewinding them all the time, and
It's true.
they don't get all tangled up and messed up.
Yeah, I've got all the pencils to rewind the tapes once part of the tape comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the only downside is that mine skips sometimes if I hit it too hard.
Yeah, well, again, stop hitting it.
Sometimes it's you can't avoid it.
Leave it alone. What are you talking about? You can't avoid it.
You ever try that's the one advantage I think that tapes still have over CDs is you really can't fast forward in song. You can skip from song to song, but the only way you can fast forward on mine anyway is you have to just lightly touch the skip button, and if you lightly touch the skip button, it will skip ahead a little bit and fast forward it.
Just stop messing with it. Let the song play.
Sometimes you want to get to another point in the song, or you want to hear something over again. Sometimes I don't understand all the lyrics. And not everyone has liner notes, you know.
Okay, sweetie.
But our TV picks of the week, I watched a show called Grace Under Fire. It's in its first season. It was created by a man named Chuck Lorre. He used to write for Roseanne. And then he got fired or he quit Roseanne. I'm not exactly sure which. And he created his own show, Grace Under Fire. Before this, he created a show called Franny's Turn. And it was starred a older British actress. I cannot remember her name for the life of me. But
yeah, I can't help you there. I'd never heard of this show, never seen the show.
It only was on, I think, 5 episodes. It was on last year on CBS, and then they canceled it. So obviously that one did not do well. But Grace Under Fire has gotten a lot of good publicity, a lot of good ratings. It stars Brett Butler. I don't know how many of you guys have Comedy Central. I know not everyone of my friends has cable anyway, and those that do, it depends.
And not all of us are rich.
I think most people have cable though. I know you
cable.
don't have cable, but I think most people do. Although I do know more than just you, some people that don't have cable. However, I'm not sure. I know there's a couple different cable companies that service us around here, and I think Comedy Central is on one of them and not on the other one. I'm not sure. But where I am on my cable company, Comedy Central is channel 12 and MTV's channel 13. Those are the ones I go back and forth mostly between. And you watch cable in my house, so.
Yeah, I like watching it at your house.
But yeah, it's not the only thing you like at my.
Don't be crass.
Anyway, so Brett Butler is a stand-up comedian. She's been on Comedy Central when they do those shows that they do where they just show you like, one comedian after another kind of thing. And I've seen a lot of her stand-up, and a lot of this show is reminiscent of her stand-up routine, where she kind of plays the white trash, redneck woman.
Okay.
But she's she's smarter than everyone else kind of thing. So she really plays into the stereotype, but she's not dumb like a lot of times it's stereotypically portrayed. So that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. In this episode, she wants to get some alone time for herself from her children. Like, it opens up with her in the shower, taking a shower, and all of her kids plus their friend that stays over all the time interrupt her in the shower. So she decides to turn the basement into a place where she can kind of go as a refuge. And her friend are going through all the stuff down there, and she finds a bunch of her old paintings that she used to do before she got married, and that she gave up once she got married. And now that she's divorced, she's looking at these paintings and thinking, oh, this is something that I could do again, something I really enjoyed doing that I'd like to do for myself again. So she tries to do that, but the kids, they continuously interrupt her and everything. So she, once she finally gets them all put down and into bed, she then tries to do it, and her friends from the plant come over and start. They want to play poker. They've brought all the poker stuff.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a sweet gesture.
Yeah,
they know she wanted to have some kid-free time.
Yeah.
And so they showed up with the stuff because she couldn't get a babysitter. Mm-hmm. They said they'd bring the game to her. And even when she tried to turn them away, they were going to leave her a pizza.
Yeah. So she ends up doing that, and then she goes to her friend Wade next door, who used to be in the Marines, and his sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? His
Pottery?
Hobby. Yeah, his hobby is doing pottery and stuff like that. And so he gives her some really good advice where he basically says distractions are only distractions when you allow yourself to be distracted by them.
Makes sense to me.
So she basically says that, if you just ignore this stuff, then you'll be able to carve out your own alone time and do what you want to do, which is what she ends up doing in the episode. And then at the end, there's this conversation between Dave Thomas and the friend kid. And Sam, that's his name, that's right. And I don't know how many of you, I'm sure most of you won't get this reference, but my dad grew up in the 30s. He was older when I was born. And he had these old tapes from radio shows that he listened to when he was a kid. And one of them is called Fibber, McGee, and Molly.
Yeah, most of us are not going to get this reference here. Fibber, McGee, and Molly.
But Fibber used to talk to this character that they just called the little girl. He'd be like, oh, hello, little girl. And they would have these conversations where he would be talking about something adult, and she would be like rationalizing it as a child, basically putting it into her own frame of reference. And then at the end, there was usually some kind of like zinger joke where it was made clear that she understood what he was talking about the entire time. And there'd be like revelations, like good revelations that were applicable to his life from her, childlike point of view. And this conversation that they have at the end of the episode where Dave Thomas is talking about his divorce and having to give away half his stuff and everything, and the kid Sam is talking like a kid. It reminds me a lot of those conversations. So I think that either Chuck Lorre or one of the writers was a big fan of Fibber McGee and Molly, or was inspired in some way by Fibber McGee and Molly, because it very much reminds me of that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
Grandpa.
but the show is very funny. A lot of the writing is really good. The writing's really sharp. A lot of good jokes, things like that. So if you haven't seen it, it's in its first season. If you haven't seen Grace Under Fire on ABC, I would recommend that you tune it in. It's a really good show.
Yeah, a lot of the comedy is way better than this Fibber, McGee, and Molly stuff that he's talking about. Don't let that change your opinion. It's not like old-timey radio shows.
You've never heard it.
Yeah, I haven't, but I
So how would you know it's better or not?
Because I'm a teenager.
Marion and Jim Jordan forever.
What?
No, that's their real names.
So, yeah.
Real life married couple, kind of like us.
We're not married yet, honey.
Well, not yet, but we're a real life couple.
Anyway, I watched Northern Exposure. We watched it together.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if, I'm assuming most of you have watched this show. I love this show. And it's about, this little town in Alaska. And
Sicily.
Starts out, it's called Sicily?
That's the name of the town, yeah.
But I mean, it starts out with, the doctor is new there. And, most of the show seems to be, kind of just getting used to living in Alaska and getting to know the community there. But this episode is about Shelley and Holling, and how she is 2 weeks past due.
Yeah, she's huge.
And she is ready to have that baby and complaining all about that. She's supposed to be flown out to be induced.
Yeah.
And she's trying to take care of last minute things, so she's doing laundry. And when she goes into the laundromat, she sees this cute little blonde girl playing Barbies, and they're kind of talking. And the little girl says that her name is Miranda, and that everybody calls her Randy with an I. So she's like, really? I was thinking about naming my daughter Miranda if I have a daughter. And then when she goes back again...
Well, we noticed, too, in the credits...
Oh, yeah, the little girl had this really weird name.
The strangest name, one of the strangest names I've ever heard. And she was an adorable girl.
Yeah.
Kaylee... Kawoko, yeah. Kaylee, lots of O's and U's. But yeah, very cute little 7-year-old. So, I don't know. Watch out for that name, I guess.
Okay, so then, later in the day she goes back and she sees the same little girl who's now, 11?
Yeah, 11 or 12, yeah.
And, playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
So, she talks to her then, and, another time she goes back and she's 18, and it's become obvious that it's the same girl every time. Which makes no sense because this is all happening in one day. What is your take on this?
Well, I don't think it happens in one day. I think it does. Is it one day? I get it's hard to get a sense of time. I think it's 2 separate days, or 2 or 3 separate days.
I think it's all one day.
Is it? Okay. Well, because the B story is about Ruth, the old lady, and Walt, I think his name is, and that takes place over 2 days.
Yeah, but I think the Shelley thing happens on day 2.
No, I think it starts day 1 and then goes into day 2.
You're telling me she left laundry in the laundromat overnight?
No, I think what happens is she goes to do the laundry, then she goes to change, to take it out of the dryer, and then she says she's supposed to be, the last day, the day that she sees the 18-year-old, is the day she's supposed to be flown to be induced. And she wants to go back because she wants to find out what happened to the girl.
Right.
So she makes up this this story about needing to wash the receiving blanket or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think it's over 2 days.
Okay.
But yeah, it becomes obvious that it's the same girl because when she's 18, she mentions something about the drums, and Miranda says, drums, and she's like, oh yeah, I stopped playing with those, I don't know, a long time ago and stuff. So it's clear it's the same Miranda.
Yeah, so very weird. I know you mentioned you weren't sure if she's hallucinating, and she mentions in the show She's asking the radio show guy if she's if he believes in time travel.
Right. Which he immediately says yes to.
Of course. I'm sure he believes in aliens and, everything else. He's the town hippie. But yeah, so I mean it's a good show. It just, I don't really know what to do with that piece of it.
Yeah, it's funny because they do this every once in a while, and it's usually centered around the radio guy's, like a radio guy's story. I can't remember his name. I know the actor's name is John Corbett, but I can't remember what his name is on the show off the top of my head. But I wish there was a way you could look stuff like that up.
Right?
Because there's so many times when I can't think of an actor's name or a character's name, and I just, you just have to, like, either you have to wait till you see the show again, or, like, if it's a movie and you can't see it right away because it's not in theaters anymore and it hasn't come to a videotape yet, then you just have to you just have to ask people
right.
to figure it out. But, anyway, so they usually center those stories around his character. Obviously, this one isn't, although he plays a minor role in it. But, yeah, because the show's mostly grounded. Every once in a while, they'll do something like this where it's sort of supernaturally or otherworldly, and you're not exactly sure. And so, I don't know. I don't know if this is just a hallucination she's having, or if she's actually seeing this, if this is really happening.
Well, I mean, it's like they're interacting. It's not like she's just having a vision of it.
Well, people can interact with hallucinations.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking about the time travel thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. She's not just observing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bizarre.
And I guess it implies that her daughter lives in this town when she's older, too.
Yeah.
By the way.
But she's going to Texas to be a cheerleader.
Yeah, to be a Dallas... she's trying out for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleading squad. So, I don't know if that's 18 years from now. What's 18 years from now? That's 2012?
2002? No.
2002, that's right. No, 94. 10 years from now is 2004.
2012, you're right.
So 2012, okay. So that means in 2012, she'd be 18. God, 2012, can you imagine? She'd be 18.
Flying cars.
Right. And so she'd be 18 and trying out for the Dallas Cowboys thing. So, I don't know if the Cowboys will still be good in 2012. Obviously, they're great now. But anyway, so, yeah. So the one thing is she says that when she goes to see her the last time, she says, oh, today's my birthday. And she says, I was born at 5 o'clock, happy hour, because I was born above a bar. So and that's what happens. Shelley goes back and she says that she's not taking the plane. She's ready to give birth now. She goes upstairs to where her and Holling live, and Dr. Fleischman help her deliver the baby, which is born at 5 o'clock. So she correctly predicts where she's going to be born and what time. Now, you could say that proves that it's actually some sort of time travel thing. Or you could say that, Shelley's pregnant and her body was basically telling her we're ready to give birth.
Right.
Kind of thing. So it still sort of leaves it ambiguous, although I guess it kind of leans towards it being real, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where they're trying to get us to go. I think we're suspending disbelief here.
Yeah. So, but, obviously, we're on season 4 here of Northern Exposure. I've liked this show for a long time, since basically the beginning.
Yeah, me too. Love it.
And it's definitely it's a good show, and this is a good episode. Maybe not the best episode of the show I've ever seen, but it's a good episode.
Yeah.
And a lot of it focuses on Shelley and a little bit on Holling. I tend to like the episodes a little more where they focus on the Doctor a little more. There is you can't even call it a B story. I think it's maybe a C story of Dr. Fleischman and Maggie.
Yeah. Yeah, she's trying to show she catches him trying to chop wood by running it over with his chalk.
Right.
And then she shows him up in the macho area by getting out her chainsaw and taking care of it for him.
Yeah, he says that most of the injuries he deals with in this time of year are chainsaw related, so he doesn't want to use a chainsaw.
Yeah, he's kind of a pussy. What he is.
Yeah, but I mean, he's an intellect. He's a doctor. He uses his brain. That's what his character is. But yeah, so they kind of realize, or Maggie kind of realizes that they're always competing with each other. Mm-hmm. They have a very combative relationship. So she's not sure exactly how to deal with that. She talks to that kid that runs the store. That really long-haired kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the native Alaskans. There's some native Alaskans mixed with the white people.
Yep. And then the other story in this one is with Ruth Ann and Walt, where Walt goes with her to pick up some cabinets. Mm-hmm. And then the car breaks down and they're stuck in Alaska in the middle of the night together out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Which could have gone so much better for him, but did not.
Right.
Because he does end up expressing to her that he is interested in her, but in the most frustrated way. It was so cute, though. I'm wearing my church shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I hope that they get together. I think they would be cute.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But check out Northern Exposure if you haven't seen it yet. Very good show. It's one of those shows where you don't... There are some elements of stories that carry over week to week. Like, I'm sure that Shelley and Holling's baby will appear in other episodes.
Right.
And that, there are some things like that in the relationships that carry over from week to week. But for the most part, it's one of those where you can watch it and, it doesn't matter where you come in at.
Yeah.
But our main topic today is we went to the theater and we saw the #1 movie in America,
Ugh.
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, starring in living color's own Jim Carrey.
I've got to stop letting you pick.
I'm telling you, you picked Intersection.
Intersection was better than this.
Oh my God, you are out of your mind.
Nope.
So, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, we're gonna. Actually, there is a lot to spoil here because it's a mystery. It's a comedy, but also a mystery movie. The film, as I said, stars Jim Carrey, Sean Young, Tone Loc, the rapper, plays a role in it. Dan Marino has a small role in the movie as well, and a woman named Courtney Cox. The only thing I really know her from is on MTV. There's that. Well, anyway, it hasn't been on for a while, but the Dancing in the Dark music video.
Okay.
Bruce Springsteen. She was the girl in the audience that comes up on stage and dances with him.
Again, you gotta have cable to have seen this.
Right, but that's the only thing I know her from. Anyway, so the movie, I'll tell you what I think of it. Well, let me tell you what the plot is first. Jim Carrey plays a pet detective, a man who finds lost pets, basically. Which is so weird that this is a universe in which that's a viable career option.
Right?
To find lost pets. But that's what his job is. And it's sort of the inverse of Inspector Gadget or like Get Smart. I know I talk about Get Smart a lot. But or Remington Steele, that was another one that I liked too. Where those are situations where the detective or the private eye or the spy or whatever it is really dumb, but they project this I know what I'm doing, I'm the one in charge kind of persona, and there's someone in the background that's actually doing the real work. In this one, he acts like a fool, and everyone thinks of him as a fool, but he's actually smarter than most everyone else. So it's sort of the inverse of that. But what happens is someone kidnaps Snowflake, the Miami Dolphins mascot dolphin, which I don't watch a lot of Miami Dolphins games, so I'm not sure if they actually have a live dolphin as their mascot. I don't think they do.
That seems like some kind of like violation of something.
I would think so, yeah. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not sure. But I don't think they have an actual live dolphin. But anyway, so someone steals it from its pool, its tank at Miami's facility. And they call in Ace Ventura, as well as the police, to try to find this missing dolphin. And eventually, Dan Marino gets kidnapped as well. One of the people who works for the Miami organization ends up getting killed. And eventually, Ace Ventura figures out the mystery. The point of this movie seems to be a funny comedy and a vehicle for Jim Carrey doing a lot of voices and characters and stuff with his face.
Yeah, but he does. It's stupid. It's too over the top.
Now, this is a problem that Carol and I have sometimes. Carol doesn't like stupid humor. She doesn't get into it. And a lot of the comedies that come out now are on the more silly, over-the-top side. I think there's a place for them. Carol hates them.
Alrighty then.
He does say that a few times.
It's stupid.
But it's funny.
How is that funny?
And the stuff that he's doing with his face and you know, like he bends over and
talks with his ass.
Yeah.
Because he is an ass.
It's hilarious.
And I want to know how he got Courtney Cox's character to sleep with him. She is a stone cold fox, okay?
Apparently he's really good at it too.
And yeah, apparently. But, and that's another thing that's over the top and ridiculous. I mean, everything in this movie is done too big.
Well, I think that's the point of it. The point of it is to be big and garish and
dumb.
But
dumb.
It's a kind of a smart movie too, in a way. The mystery is sort of smart.
The mystery is dumb too. Everything about it, dumb.
Well, the movie starts out where, like I said, they kidnap the dolphin. They call in Ace Ventura. He investigates. He finds a garnet, I think he said it was. Some kind of stone.
I don't remember what kind of stone it was.
Some kind of stone. It's a rare... The cut is very rare. And it was part of the Miami Dolphins AFC championship ring. So he basically says, okay, so whoever did this has one of those rings. So he goes and he investigates basically everyone who has one of those rings. And he can't find it. And then he sees a picture of the kicker, Ray Finkel, who wasn't in the picture that he was looking at, because the picture he was looking at was taken earlier in the year, and Ray Finkel wasn't added to the roster till later in the year. But he did get one of those rings because he was part of the AFC Championship team. So he says, okay, so it must be this person. So he goes on a search to try to find this Ray Finkel. The entire time, Sean Young's character, who is a lieutenant in the police department, Lieutenant Einhorn, she's kind of the antagonist to him the entire time. She thinks he's an idiot and everything.
Because he is.
It turns out that Ray Finkel stole the identity of this hiker who was missing, called Lois Einhorn. And basically, the male kicker became a woman. So Sean Young's character is supposed to be a man.
See, also dumb and over the top.
Which is, I don't know if that's offensive to Sean Young or what. But I mean, could you imagine being a woman? Because Sean Young obviously is a woman. Being a
named Sean.
Yeah, but she's a woman.
I'm just saying.
She was in Blade Runner.
Anyway.
But anyway, so she's a woman, but she's supposed to be a woman playing a man. Do you think that's offensive to her?
If it was, then she wouldn't have taken the role.
Wow, it's not like she's getting a ton of work nowadays. But would you, if you were an actress, would that offend you?
No.
That you're supposed to be playing someone that's really a man?
Maybe a little.
That's what I'm saying. But so I think it's a little offensive in that way. But anyway, so at one point she kisses Ace, and then he finds out that she's a man, and he's squirting toothpaste into his mouth and throwing up and stuff like that. It's hilarious.
Over the top.
But it's hilarious.
Didn't make me laugh once.
Oh, I don't get you. The movie is it's just the whole thing. Like I said, the whole thing is an excuse for Jim Carrey to be as loud and as garish, and he's got that rubber face and all the funny ways that he says things. It's just there's so many good jokes in this movie.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I didn't. And I think there are many people out there who would agree with me. Not as many who agree with you.
New England clam chowder. No?
Which is white, not red.
That's what he says. He gets it right.
Yeah, but he hesitated. Like, who doesn't know that?
Well, a lot of people, see, in this area of the country, we eat New England clam chowder mostly. We don't eat, do you know what the red one's called?
Isn't it just called clam chowder?
It's Manhattan.
Uh-huh.
There's New England clam chowder and Manhattan clam chowder.
Okay.
And Manhattan clam chowder is the red sauce.
Okay.
Have you ever had that in your life?
No.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that's a very East Coast thing. But they're in Florida too, so I don't think there's a lot of it in Florida either. I think it's almost exclusively East Coast as far as I know. But anyway, off of the clam chowder.
Which is weird because, they're both on the East Coast. New England and and Manhattan.
New England's the one that's proliferated. Like, I think everyone's had New England clam chowder before.
Yeah, I'm just saying both places mentioned in the names are East Coast.
I just think one's more provincial than the other one.
I guess.
But, yeah, like, alrighty then.
Annoying.
But the way he says it is so funny.
And every time you do that,
loser,
it makes me want to hit you in the face.
There are so many people in the school and around and outside, friends of mine and stuff like that are doing that all the time.
I know.
Loser.
And I want to hit them too. It's so annoying. I wish I could just ban this movie and erase it from all their brains so I would stop having to hear 10 times again. Alrighty then.
It's so funny. I don't know if I will ever get sick of him doing this.
Oh, trust me.
I don't know what his next movie is going to be, although I heard that he has another movie coming out this year.
I'm not seeing any other movies by him ever. Never.
We might have to.
You can. Enjoy it.
Oh, so I will talk about it alone?
Yep.
We'll do dueling movies. Carol does her serious drama movie, and I'll do my comedy movie.
Correct, sir.
Okay. You can't think of one joke that you thought was funny in this movie?
No.
What about when they go to the insane asylum that Ray Finkel was supposed to be at, and he's pretending to be a football player? He does the slow motion thing, and...
No.
No? No good? Laces out?
Oh my god, that was annoying too.
When he goes to Ray Finkel's parents' house, and the woman says, talks about what a wonderful boy her son is, and then she says that Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and burn in hell.
Okay, that was a little funny. That I'll give you.
And then she brings him cookies, and he says, oh look, they're little footballs. The way he says that is so funny.
With the laces out.
Little footballs.
But
so obviously this movie didn't work for Carol. If it works for you, it's going to work on the level of slapstick. I mean, it's almost like, and I don't like the Three Stooges, because I don't like a lot of that, all that stuff.
But that's him. That's Jim Carrey.
I know,
right
and
there.
maybe it's just because it's the 90s version of that and I connect with that more, or what. But I don't like that's the only thing I can really equate it to. It's sort of like a single person doing the Three Stooges, but now.
Okay.
I think it was a quality film. Carol doesn't like it. It's the #1 movie in America.
So all of you are idiots.
Wow. Way to alienate the audience. But anyway, so that is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I loved it. Carol hated it. and go see it and judge for yourself. Although it looks like a lot of you have.
So what's the blockbuster? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What's the blockbuster movie this week?
So
I didn't see it.
our blockbuster pick of the week. I haven't actually rented this. I saw this in the theater, one of the few, because this did not do well in the theater.
There were not a lot of good choices this week, people.
No, Mr. Nanny was out there. The one with Hulk Hogan.
And a bunch of kids' movies.
Well, there was a lot of Walt Disney releases on the new release shelf.
Yeah.
I think Walt Disney did a lot of their re-releases and stuff like that. Around this time, and then I'm trying to think what else was on the new release shelf. There was some other crappy ones I'd never even really heard of. But I am going to pick California with a K. Now,
What?
this is another just the look on your face. This is another broad slapstick comedy. No, it's not. Like I said, this did not do well in the theater, so I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen this film. I'm not going to ruin this film so that you guys can go out to Blockbuster and rent it for yourselves and take a look. But the movie stars David Duchovny, who, is in that show, The X-Files now. But this is before that, because this came out last year. But it stars David Duchovny, Juliette Lewis, Brad Pitt, and I cannot remember the other woman's name. The one that plays David Duchovny's girlfriend.
No idea, babe.
But David Duchovny and his girlfriend he's a journalist who writes about serial killers, and she's a photographer. They decide that they're going to move to California. And he convinces her that what they should do is take a road trip to California where they stop at all the sites of different mass murders around the country. She can take pictures, he can write articles about it, and maybe they can put it into a book that they could sell. So along the way, they discover that they don't really have enough money to get there. So they need somebody to ride share with them, to share the cost of the gas, and they'll give them free ride to, well, not free, but they'll let them ride in their car to California with them. So they pick up Brad Pitt, who is on parole, and his girlfriend, Julia, or what's her name? I just said her name. Juliette Lewis. So they pick them up, and it turns out that Brad Pitt is a psychopath. Like, Brad Pitt's character, they were staying in this trailer. Juliette Lewis, his girlfriend, is like a child person, like a child woman, basically. She's not mentally handicapped, but she has been severely sheltered, and it seems like abused, and she hasn't fully developed mentally, basically.
Okay.
So they pick them up, and before they do, Brad Pitt's landlord had been complaining about how he hadn't gotten the rent from him in a while, and he just kept bugging him about it. So before they leave, Brad Pitt kills him and buries him.
That seems like an appropriate response.
Right. So it's clear that Brad Pitt is a psychopath. So they're going along on this trip, and there's a part where they come to this bar, and someone's making fun of David Duchovny, like how he's dressed and everything, and Brad Pitt ends up kicking this guy almost to death in defense of him. So they start bonding. Basically, without ruining anything, most of this movie takes place on the road during this road trip. And it becomes slowly clear that Brad Pitt's crazy and his girlfriend, and he abuses his girlfriend and stuff like this. And David Duchovny's character, Brian, who's a middle-class yuppie kind of guy, like his girlfriend, they're both in that same mold socially. And Brad Pitt and Juliette Lewis are like trailer trash.
Okay.
But he starts to become fascinated with him. He doesn't want to be a part of the killing or anything like that, but it's like thrills him to be this close to this kind of person and this lawless sort of, I don't care about anybody and I'll kill anyone kind of person. So they form this bizarre relationship where he's kind of obsessed with Brad Pitt's character. And that's a lot of what drives the movie. Instead of it being like David Duchovny finds out, oh my God, this guy's a killer. We've got to get out of here. We've got to turn him into the police or anything like that. It's a much smarter movie like that where it's about his fascination with him and everything at an arm's length kind of fascination. And the acting is what really elevates this movie even more than an already very solid script and very good directing job. Brad Pitt and Juliette Lewis give two of the best performances I've ever seen. They're phenomenal, and you forget. You don't even think about them as characters. You think about them as real people.
Okay.
It's a transformative kind of acting job that both of them do. They're far and away the best performance I saw from that year, from 1993. So, I mean, it's just the movie it's one of those disturbing but also really satisfying films.
So now I want to watch it, and I'm going to have to run out as soon as you're done with this and rent it before everybody else gets to Blockbuster.
Right?
Because that sounds actually really good.
Yeah, it's a really good film, and I would recommend it to anybody. I don't know how many copies they have at Blockbuster, but if they don't have any left when you get there, then you'll have to wait for Carol to return it. Sometimes she can be bad about that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, hence the massive late fee moniker. But anyway, so that is our show for this week, February 5th, 1994. Join us next week when we'll be talking about something. And join us the week after that when we'll be talking about something else. But I hope you have a good week, everybody, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.